It is time for match week 32 roundup of Sky Bet League 1. Peterborough are experiencing some worrying times as they go winless in their last three. Whereas on the flip side of that, Portsmouth back on track after a nervy January period. Starting things off at the Abbey Stadium, where I got this prediction the wrong way round. I knew it would be a 1-0 win, but I just couldn't tell for which side. Now, obviously, it was a very even game and could have gone either way. Cambridge can feel slightly hard done by with not getting at least a point here today, as they had the higher expected goals, which doesn't mean a lot, but it just shows that they had a higher quality of chances. And obviously, the possession was completely even. Now, Cheltenham haven't got away with a robbery here. Let's get that out of the equation. They did play as well as Cambridge and just took their chances, and that, at the end of the day, that's all it came down to. But Cheltenham will be very pleased to get 3 points on the board here today. Over to Adams Park now, where this was a result that I don't think anyone saw coming. Going into the game, I thought I was being harsh on Peterborough by predicting a draw, but it turns out I massively underestimated how good Wycombe were, and I think 5-2 is a little bit harsh, but it does show you the difference between two styles. Wycombe, while having much lesser possession, made better use of it, having higher expected goals, more shots on target and more total shots. Now, this just shows you how much Peterborough had the ball and did nothing with it, and that is something they need to look to improve on, but it is getting worrying at the minute for Peterborough, as this is their third loss in a row, and it's seen them go from an automatic promotion fight, now just trying to stay in the playoff places. Moving on to Wigan versus Exeter. Now, my prediction looks shocking compared to the actual result, but if we have a look at the stats, you can see that my prediction was probably the fair result in this game, and Exeter can count themselves very lucky that they took the chances that they created. But again, they took them, and that was a difference in this game, being clinical, because Wigan had all the possession, all the shots, and all the shots on target. They just couldn't find the net enough times, whereas Exeter had less possession, a lot less possession, a lot less shots, a lot less quality shots, but still found the net twice. So it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter if you have everything going with you, you can still lose a game, and Wigan can count themselves unlucky here, but a big 3 points for Exeter. Reading hosted Charlton this afternoon, and my prediction wasn't far off. Got the exact right amount of goal win margin, but just added a couple more goals. But it's concerning times right now for Charlton, because they didn't even look like they were in the game at all. Reading were deservedly winners. Maybe they got an extra goal they shouldn't have had, but you can't really complain with it. Charlton outplayed, and they're getting dangerously close to that relegation zone. It is worrying times if you are a Charlton fan. Up next, we are at Vale Park, where again I got the result right, but this time I needed to add a goal to each side. But yeah, a very hotly contested game here at Vale Park, which I think Stevenage should be very disappointed about dropping points here, especially after being in the lead. I think a draw is a fair result, though. Both of them played about as good as each other. Obviously, Port Vale had more possession and more total shots, but the same shots on target, and Stevenage had a better quality of shots, means that this game was a draw, and it was a fair draw in my opinion. I think Port Vale will be the happier of the two sides in terms of the overall result, and Stevenage still struggling. Now, that is two games where they played inferior opposition and not picked up wins. Now, before we go any further, let me know you are enjoying the video by leaving a like and subscribing, and comment below what your predictions are for next week's fixtures. But without further ado, let's get straight back into it. Now, as you can tell by my prediction, after watching Northampton last weekend at Fratton Park, I did not give them a chance against Bolton, but they proved me wrong. I predicted a 3-1 win to Bolton, and it was a draw, and to be fair, it was a fair result. Northampton did lead for the majority of the game. Bolton clawed an equaliser back late on in the second half, but they held out, and Northampton will still be the happier of the two sides. But yeah, massively turnaround in performance from Northampton, and they actually looked like the better side throughout the majority of the game. While not having most of the ball, they still put up the better numbers, and in all fairness, they deserve this result. So Northampton, fair play. To be fair, in this game, my prediction is wrong, but we have to take into account the fact that Fleetwood did go down to 10 men just before half-time, and that probably did change things, and it meant that Lincoln could go and get those 2 goals in the second half. So I'm not going to read too much into this one. We can sort of pull it down to a red card happening on the stroke of half-time as to why Lincoln went on in that second half to dominate the game, because as far as I'm concerned, Fleetwood were the better side in that first half and went into the break deservedly being 1-0 up. I just hope for Fleetwood it doesn't knock their confidence that they've built over the last couple of weeks, because that has been very impressive. Little mini run they've gone on. Hopefully it's just a blip for them and they can get back to winning in the near future. But yeah, disappointing one for Fleetwood after doing so well to get to 1-0 up at half time. Portion of the game they were behind. I thought they would struggle in this game. In fact, I thought they would lose. Pride Park, where I thought Derby County would make light work all of the stats. But under new management, anything other than a win for MK Dons would not have been a fair result. So and they ended up have too many complaints around this one to the point where they deserved. They created a lot of chances. In the end, they took going away to Pride Park, a hard place to go, and they more than matched Derby County. So I think that they did deserve
over
this
to
point,
Harrogate versus Colchester. Well, it wasn't too far away
hard
with this
done
prediction. I thought Harrogate would win, but I thought it'd be a little bit more comfortable. As you can see, the stats are very even on the possession sets. But other than that, it's very much towards Colchester. And
so now on to my club, Portsmouth, as they went away to Carlisle, and I predicted a 2-0 win. It was only half that, and it was a 1-0 win, but we'll take it. 3 points are 3 points. One thing I would say today is Abu Kamara, when he came on, changed the game. I think we were never in trouble with conceded, and I think on the whole, we probably did deserve to narrowly win the game. Have to feel a little bit for Carlisle, who did so well to stay in the game for as long as they did. And I think for a team like that, a result against top of the league would have been huge for them. But on a day where a lot of our rivals around us dropped points, it was a huge 3 points. Another game that shows the difference between two styles. Bristol Rovers had a large portion of the possession today, but didn't do a lot with it. Whereas on the flip side of that, Burton had minimal possession, but made sure when they did have the ball, they made it count. And that's why they ended up winning today 2-1, not comfortably. And it was very close and could have gone either way. But if we look at the actual shooting stats, Burton came out massively on top and probably on the whole deserved to win today. And I say Bristol Rovers need to make sure in the future that when they've got the ball, they actually do something with it. Now, on to the penultimate game here, where Blackpool hosted Oxford United in a very interesting game in regards to the playoff picture. Now, after Blackpool took an lead, I thought they were going to get all 3 points here, but Oxford did respond. Now, if you look at it as a pretty even game, I don't think either side can have any qualms with the result. I think, if anything, Oxford was slightly hard done by on the chances that they created. I thought they were very good. But in terms of total numbers, Blackpool did have more shots and more possession. And like I say, you could look at it either way. I think a draw is probably a fair result. I think both sides will take that. On to our final game here, where Barnsley managed to go and beat Leyton Orient. Now, I predicted Leyton Orient to win because it'd be stupid not to. They hadn't lost in 2024 before this game. And to be fair, they deservedly lost. They were outplayed today. And I think the thing that will disappoint them the most is the fact they conceded their second goal when Barnsley only had 10 men. But on the whole, you can't really complain about the scoreline if you're a Leyton Orient fan. Barnsley were well deserved of the win today, and you've got to tip your hat to them. It's now very important that Leyton Orient don't completely lose their heads, and it's how they respond to this setback that will either make or break their season. Now, that just about wraps up this League One roundup video. I will see you tomorrow for the Championship one plus a League One prediction video. And without further ado, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.